Okay, today we're finishing up our circle properties. Um, just FYI, since we had so many snow days, we're kind of short on time. So we're not going to have a formal test over just this chapter, but you will be tested over it on the final, which will be starting next Friday. Um, we are going to tack on some equations of circles Friday, Monday, Tuesday to go along with this, and then those will be tested on the final. There won't be a unit test over this one, over circles. So today we're talking about segment length properties, which states that the product, if you have two chords that intersect, the product of the two pieces of one chord equals the product of the two pieces of the other chord. So here it says AE times ED, or if we label these, it'd be X times Y equals BE times EC. So Z times W. All right. So here we want to find X. So we would take 3 times 4 equals 2 times X, or 2X, which is going to make X 6. Okay. Here they're saying with these two marks that they are congruent of the same measure, so they're both X. So you have 12 times 3 equals X times X, which is the same as X squared. So X is positive or negative 6, but only positive 6 makes sense in context. We can't have a negative length. So positive 6 centimeters. All right, here, this whole length is 7. So we take 7 times 3 equals 5 times X. So 4.2 centimeters. Okay, same thing down here. 3 times 2 equals 4X. So X equals 1.5 centimeters. Here they're saying the radius is 7. So this half has to be a 7 total also, which means this piece is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7, and then your radius is 7. Okay? So here we would have 5 times 9 equals 6 times X. Which is 7.5. Okay, they are telling us here that both of these pieces are 6. So you have 6 times 6 equals 5 times X. Which is 7.2 equals X. All right, so now let's talk about two secants that meet outside a circle. So this is just a tiny bit different. If you have two secant segments that share the same endpoint, then the product of the length of one segment and the length of its external segment. So we're talking about the length of the whole thing times the length of just the piece on the outside, or here, EA times EC equals the whole length times just the piece on the outside. So here they have EB and ED. Okay. This is another theorem, but it's really the same thing when you think about it, because we're talking about the whole length times the piece on the outside. That's your AB times AC. And then we're talking about the whole length times the piece on the outside is just AD times AD, or AD squared. So really these theorems are the same thing. They just wrote this side as AD squared. Okay, so find X. So I need to take the piece on the outside times the whole length. So the whole length is 14. And I have the piece on the outside times the whole length, which is X plus 6. So I'd have 70 equals 6X plus 36 because you need to distribute. So I'd have 34 equals 6X. which is 5.6 repeating. Okay, here same thing, piece on the outside times the whole length, which would be x plus 2. And then piece on the outside times the whole length is 6 times 6, or 6 squared. So I'd have 2x plus 4 equals 36. So x is 16 centimeters. Okay, here, this piece is also x, so just before we even start, the whole length is not x squared, but 2x. X plus x is 2x. Okay, so you have the piece on the outside times the whole length, so 1 times 4 equals the piece on the outside times the whole length. Okay, so this would be 4 equals 2x squared. So the square root of 2 centimeters equals x. And this is exact form, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it this way. And if asked for you to round it, you could do that. But I'm going to leave it in exact form. All right, last 3 examples for today. Piece on the outside times the whole length is the piece on the outside times the whole length. Okay, so this one is 7 75/100 of a centimeter. Right. Here they're telling us that all of these segments are 4. So the piece on the outside times the whole length, piece on the outside times the whole length. So we have 48 equals 6x plus 36, which is going to make x 2 centimeters. Okay, piece on the outside times the whole length. Piece on the outside and the whole length are the same, so it's 12 squared. Okay, and don't forget to distribute. Then you have 5x equals 119, which makes x 23.8 centimeters. All right, we are finishing up our book today, so it's the last 3 pages for your assignment. It'll say worksheet 9 at the top. And then again, we're going to work on some circle equations the next 3 class periods, and then we're going to review for our final. So there is no formal unit test, but you will be tested over it on the final.